As we sit here today, we call upon our spirit guides, angels, ascended masters, light beings, galactic guides, ancestors, nature spirits, and animal guides. We call upon source energy, the divine masculine and divine feminine, and all other beings of the highest light and vibration to join us in the sacred journey today. We call upon Archangel Michael, Narasimha, and Hanuman to protect us in this journey and in this space. We call upon Ganesh to remove any obstacles in our path and open the way for us. And we call upon Thoth, the keeper of divine knowledge and wisdom. Spirit guides, we ask you today to enlighten us on our fear of being seen or fear of not being seen. Please help us to understand the blocks that are in our way to allowing ourselves to be seen fully for who we are without any fear and without any judgment from ourselves. Please show us how we can overcome this fear and step into our highest power so that we may move forward on this divine path, both in our personal lives and in our career. And any other messages you would like us to know in this moment right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that, the sacred circle is now open. Namaste.
Thank you. Spirit's showing me a book on a table. It's a kitchen table, a wooden kitchen table with a butcher block top, and it's a baby book. It's has a striped pastel cover. It's blue, green, yellow, pink pastel, and it has a little circle in the center, and it says baby on it. And I'm filled with this sort of like real sweetness when I look at the book, and this feeling and this reminder of like holding like my own baby when she was little. And I opened the book, and there's an envelope on the first page, and in the envelope, when I open it, I see a tiny little bit of hair. And it's like an envelope for the baby's hair. And this is not my baby's baby book. So she didn't have one. This is just a baby book. And I'm seeing this weird little what kind of looks like a locket, a heart-shaped locket, but it's like built into the book. And when I open it, I see that there's these teeny tiny little teeth in it. Like at the spot you put the teeth as they fall out. And as soon as I say that, like I don't see the baby book anymore. I feel like I've been pulled out of the window in the kitchen and I'm sitting outside, and I'm on the edge of a forest, and there's some tree stumps is where the trees have maybe been cut down in this like row that is right next to the trees that are the first trees as you go into the forest. And I can see it looks really dense, thick growth. And I'm feeling like very called to the forest to go in there. And as I think about going into the forest, I can see a house, and it's like an old white house, and this is like a farmhouse or something, or a house, maybe not even a farmhouse, but just a house kind of in the middle of like nowhere. It's like out in the country, and it's like a white old house, colonial looking house. And I feel as if I'm sitting on a branch in the tree and I'm looking at the house. I can see the windows. I can see the sort of lace curtains in the window. And I feel like I'm sitting on the edge of the forest watching, but it dawns on me that I'm like, my perspective is like somewhere up in the tree, but not super high up. And I feel very tiny. And I feel like I'm a fairy. And when I say I feel like I'm a fairy, I'm filled with something that feels like shame. Like I shouldn't be thinking I'm a
Mm.
fairy or that I shouldn't, but that's a silly thing to say. Fairies don't exist, even though I know that that's not true. Like I'm feeling this way right now. I feel like I'm a little girl and I've been told that it's a really silly thing to say. Fairies do not exist.
Mm.
But I know that they exist, but I know that I have to say they don't exist. And I feel very mad about that. Like it's very unfair. And I feel the energy of like a little girl, like a 3 or 4 year old girl, and this sort of indignant energy only a 3 or 4 year old girl can have, even when they're super sweet. And they know something is like wrong, they're just not going to be like, you know,
Mm.
it's that age before we flushed out of them anything else.
I was getting these energy, little two waves of energy came in through the top of my head and like my forehead on the side, on my right side. As you were talking, I noticed that. And I need to sit with this a little bit more because I saw it briefly and then I was listening to you. But when we first opened, I was floating above the scene of the castle that we always go to. And I heard the wind, but it was very soft. It was just like it was not as strong as the past few times we've journeyed. Um, and I could kind of tell that it was like I was hearing it, but it was almost pushing me also away. Not away, but not like in a bad way, just like to the other side. Um, and it started to my consciousness started to go over to my left. And like I said, I need to sit with this for a second, but it was interesting because when you were talking about this farm and the house, I was actually taken to a house. It looks different. It's this big brick house. Um, and it does seem to be on some kind of land. Um, and it's so interesting actually because it's this like large brick house, red brick house that in Pittsburgh you actually see a lot of these houses and they're kind of Victorian in style. Um, but this one in particular, I'm in the back of the house, so I'm seeing there's a porch, but it's part of the house. It's built with the brick around, like with the house. Um, and this house has to have at least like 4 or 5 bedrooms, I'm assuming, just because of the size. And then there's this yard, and when I got into the scene, I fell to the ground and I fell on top of this like hay or straw. And there's someone back here, and it feels like they were like, I don't know if they were coming after me necessarily, or someone feels like maybe a sibling of mine also, like a male energy, a male sibling. But it feels like one of the parents, more the mother. I don't know if she came to like hit me with her hand or with something, but I know I like curled up and was like screaming for a second. Um, but I'm gonna sit with this for a little bit and see what else I get. Um, but I wanted to share that for now.
Yeah, I can see the house too. I can just catch a tiny little bit of the corner. I see the woman you're talking about. She has a very high white collared like top on. It's a very like starchly pressed blouse that kind of pops out at the sleeves, and her hair is done in this sort of like swept up, loose and super tight bun at the same time. She seems very like her eyes are really mean. She's got a mean face. She has
Mm-hmm.
mean eyes, and mean nose, and mean mouth. And I kind of like, and I never say this, I want to just smack her face. Like and this is not something that I say, but I really want to smack this woman's face. I just like, like really do not like her. But I feel like it
Mm-hmm.
feels like I want to smack her face because I don't like the way she's treating somebody. And I'm sitting I'm part of this scene, but I can't see myself. I don't know if I'm me or if I'm seeing through someone else's eyes. There's a wrought iron patio table, and I'm sitting in one of the wrought iron chairs, and I kind of feel the weight of the chair. It's that kind of chair where you can't move the chair, you have to move out of the chair. It's really heavy. And I'm sitting in a chair, and I feel just as heavy as the chair. Like I can't move either. And I think it's fear. Like I'm frozen in place in this chair in fear. There's this
Mm-hmm.
feeling if I stay quiet and I stay still, I might be okay. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that is my best course of action in this circumstance. And there's three other chairs around this table, and they're all empty except for the one I'm sitting in. So there was four chairs. And right next to it, it feels like, and I don't know if this is a real thing or this is like a metaphorical thing, but there's a big hole in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like it has no end. And even though this scene is nothing like Alice in Wonderland, it's reminding me somehow of the hole that Alice falls down in Alice in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's a lot of stuff in this hole. Um, like the ground is open. There's a feeling connected to the scene and what happened, like the ground is opening. And it's twofold. This is like a horrible kind of thing that's happening, and it feels like the feeling of falling somewhere deep and dark. But there's also like making a wish so strongly that the ground would just open me up and swallow me. Like I feel like that's
Mm-hmm.
the wish I made, and I feel like the earth heard me somehow
Mm-hmm.
and heard like maybe I wasn't the only one that made the wish. There may have been two children and they both were wishing for the same thing. You know, the way one kid tells
Mm-hmm.
another one an idea and suddenly they're super convinced they can make it happen. That's
Mm-hmm.
that feeling of sort of like, "Oh, we're gonna do this. We're gonna make this earth open up." There's
Mm-hmm.
definitely the sibling sort of energy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels like also like an energy between you and me. Like
Mm-hmm.
this may have been the two of us, and this may have been some previous wish or will or something that we made, and this is kind of wild, isn't it? Like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness,
Yeah.
how wow.
You know what else I'm feeling? And I don't know why, but it feels like I vaguely remember. I know I've told you this story before. Like the first time I finally understood exactly what we're doing here today was in Melissa's class where she had us when we were in person and we she had us journey or she asked spirit to show us something about someone in the room and I didn't know you then. And but you were there and I journeyed to your childhood home. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
And
Oh
I was
wow.
seeing, yeah, and I remember what I saw from that day, not every detail, but it's there. And it feels like as soon as I got into the scene, I was like, this is Dana's house. But I'm seeing it from a totally different perspective. And again, like I don't know if it's necessarily that same house or if it's just like a representation that it is also yours. But I feel like this, like there's this street of houses right where this house is, and then there's backyard. And then I remember in the journey I saw with you, but also this one, what I'm feeling is that it kind of slightly goes downhill and there's a creek. And I remember in that the first journey, I couldn't see water, but I felt it. And you said there was some kind of well
So it's
or
a, yeah,
underground
an underground well
water.
and spring, yeah, out in the back of the
Yeah,
house, yeah. My parents hid it when
yeah,
they were building a garage, and we found all these old bottles there and everything.
yeah. So now what I'm seeing is I'm seeing the in the back of this house, like it's going slightly downhill, and then actually reminds me of our land in the jungle too, because it's the same way. It like goes downhill and then there's a creek and then it goes slightly uphill again and into um the back. And I'm having this is really weird. I'm having this like trifecta right now with your house and this house, and it just hit me the jungle, the land we have in the jungle, because it's exactly the same way and it feels the same. And I feel like there's something in all three of these areas that we're looking at right now.
I feel it too. I absolutely feel it too. And as you were talking and you were talking about downhill and then there being an uphill area, that's what the house was like. The house literally was
Mm,
built like it started at the top of a hill and then it sloped down and then the whole
mm-hmm,
backyard sloped down and then it came to where the garage and the spring was and then that it began another
mm-hmm,
uphill descent from there. But
mm,
as you were talking, I saw myself at the spot where the like land got flat for a very little bit. And I
mm-hmm,
heard someone say, and it sounded like at first I thought it was a little child, a little girl, but I actually think it's a fae that's here with us, like a fairy energy. And they said, you're at the bottom of the hill and you're about to go up the hill again. Like just like that. And they're saying
mm,
something about like our placement, like we can't come down the hill and now we're going up the hill again. So like I feel like they're saying like we've climbed a hill and we're rolling down it and now we're going up another one, but this is like this journey isn't the hard journey. The hard journey was already the one we went up a hill, you know? Um
mm. That's
and
good.
she's showing me a vine and I now I feel like I'm in a jungle and there's a kind of a ravine and they're giving us vines to climb back up the hill, really thick vines, like the kind. You ever seen a jungle story where Tarzan's swinging on a vine? It's like that kind of vine.
Mm-hmm. Dana, you know what that reminds me of?
But
And maybe this is why I was seeing the jungle too. Ayahuasca.
oh wow, that's right.
And
Oh,
the even funnier thing is I literally have it sitting on my desk today and I was touching it because I took it out to make a microdose for this girl at work. And I took it out this morning to ask Leo how much and everything. And so anyway, it's just still sitting on my desk.
oh, the energy of the plant is here too with us. Like wow.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's wild.
I'm seeing this is really funny and sweet. I'm seeing like a playhouse. It's like an old sort of cabaret type of playhouse, and there's a wooden stage that comes out in like a half circle. And there's like balconies behind it, but it's definitely a definite playhouse and it has those red curtains. And there's some sort of musical going on, and people are like singing and dancing in these like chorus lines with like canes and tap shoes and like tuxedos with coats and there is it's also kind of like oh what is that play or movie about the plant that like the carnivorous plants that eat people, the
What?
Venus flytraps. Um,
Oh,
you know what I mean, right? It's like an old, they made a movie out of it, but it's also a play too. Um, Little
huh.
Shop of Horrors. It's like a deranged
Oh.
production of Little Shop of Horrors meets like sort of Parisian kind of vaudeville sort of show. And the plant is like an actor on the show, and it's like singing and dancing with. I've never seen Spirit like do something like this. There's like a chorus line in front of me, and like everyone's like working in unison with their legs kicking, and everyone's got like cute costumes on, and it's just having a really good time. Um,
Hmm.
and I feel like the spirit of the ayahuasca that's like putting the show on, that's like they're like the main star of the show, is saying like, like that we need to just like reminding us to have a good time with this whole thing, like to just have a good time with it. Like, yeah, there's these things we need
Yeah.
to do, and but just to like find a way to have a good time with it. So it's like with the video that we're trying to do. Like if we're not having fun with how we're trying to do it, we have to try to do it
Yeah.
differently. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so true. That's, yeah. 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 It's like, huh.
And
Yeah. It's like, stop worrying about the fear and have fun.
yeah, they're saying I see suddenly a white window and it has like a shade pulled down, and I see the like this sort of vine plant arm that has like little feathery fingertips reach up and they snap the window up. And they said as the light comes in, they're saying like, let's let the light in. I think they're commenting on our video being really dark.
It is dark, but it's pretty.
It is pretty,
Believe
but I think
me.
they were saying we had a dark
No.
video and then we were keeping ourselves in the dark, like I think there's some sort of
Oh,
balance. I
yeah.
think they're saying something about balance. And as I say that, my heart feels bubbly. Like I don't know about you, but I don't drink like a lot of soda, but when I have soda, like the bubbles get to me and I can feel them like coming up my throat, right?
Hmm.
I can feel that feeling of having had soda, carbonation, but it's in my heart. Like
Hmm.
my heart's like got carbonation
Hmm.
bubbles going on right now.
Interesting.
They're reminding me, like I'm being reminded of laughing. Like this is like a silly little thing, but I feel like they're showing me my TV in my living room. My husband has been like, been like doing a lot of painting, getting ready for this like art show he's doing, and he has this habit he's developed. It came out of nowhere and it kind of drove me crazy, but I'm beginning to make
Mm-hmm.
peace with it. There's this really bad show from when we were younger called Home Improvement. Do you know what I'm talking
Oh
about?
my God, yes. I used to watch it all the time.
So did he. Like it was something his family always did together. So I think it's soothing him, somehow. And
Oh,
he's been
yeah.
watching it, and the humor is so bad in it.
Oh, it's
And
so bad, but
it's
it
so
was
bad.
so good back in the day.
I know it's so dated now, but I like always
Yeah.
rag on him now that I'm like, I'm like home and I'm hearing it,
Uh,
and I was making fun of it this morning, and then like I walked through the room and like I walked by a part that was like kind of funny and I got sucked into it. So I sat down and I was watching it with him and I was laughing. And he's like, wait a minute, you can't laugh at this. This is horrible. He's like riding me because I was being so like curmudgeonly about how horrible it is he watches this and he should be watching something better, all like high and mighty about
uh,
this. And I
yeah.
feel like they're like reminding me like it's okay, like, there's like laughing. Like the thing is you need it to laugh.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Yeah. Of energy again in my head. In the same place.
I'm seeing what I feel like I know is the ayahuasca plant, but it also looks like ivy. And I'm seeing part of the brick house had like an area around it where there was like a patch of ivy. And there was these really tall trees that might have been oak trees or something like that. And the ivy started to grow up the house. And it like went up the wall and kind of like started growing like around like a bedroom window. Um, and the wood is like painted white around the bedroom window. and it's ivy growing up, but it's also ayahuasca growing up the side of the house. Well, that's a house I want to live in. But um, something about like like growing up to like a bedroom window. May have been some sort of wooden trellis that's like really hard to see, but like I don't know if this is like was really there or and I don't know what. Like I don't know what they're saying about the trellis being there and not being there. It's just connected to you somehow. I feel like this is like ayahuasca trellis climbing up a side of a house towards the bedroom room. It's somehow connected to you. Um, I was getting this feeling of you like sneaking out of your bedroom window. Is that something you ever did? I mean, I could see you doing that, but I don't
Well,
know that you did that.
I had definitely thought about doing that. I never did. Although
Okay.
I think one time my friend Justin did that from my window. Um, no, he definitely
Yeah.
did actually. Um, I definitely used to like, well, I still do actually here, but I used to smoke weed out the one window
Me too. I
all the
used to do that
time.
out my bedroom window all the time.
Yeah, those were the days. Um, but yeah, interesting.
I had a boyfriend when I was in high school. I say boyfriend. I don't know that it was really he was a boy, I was a friend. But um and me and my brother both had like bedrooms like in this like Cape Cod style house we lived in, and mine was really hard to go out of because that was like my dad's study was under that bedroom window. So and it was also like the roof angle was really hard, but my brother's bedroom window was really easy. Like people, like all of his friends used to go in and out of that all hours of the night.
Mhm.
So there was like once I had to ask my brother to let my boyfriend out of his bedroom window.
Oh, that's
Uh,
funny.
did it? He was very gracious about it. But I want to go back a minute to what the plant is trying to say me about climbing up around your bedroom window. Because
Mm.
if it's not that that's something that you did, let's see what the plant is trying to say. Okay, this is this is a really really unique message. The plant is saying her name is Amy. Or do you know an Amy? Or did you know an Amy? There's something about the name
Wow.
Amy.
Oh
And
yeah.
okay,
Keep
and
going.
yeah, Amy is very perky. Amy has a lot of energy. Amy is very like, you know how Amy feels about everything. No surprises. Um,
Hmm.
Amy is not a lady of mystery. I feel like Amy is saying, like, I'm not a lady of mystery. She's like that about it. She
Uh-huh.
feels a little very proud to be who she is and proud to be able to provide people with the experiences of letting their authentic self out. Um, she's saying it's better out than in. And I feel like Amy kind of like, I don't know if she was a cheerleader, but she has like a lot of energy like that. She's presenting herself like a teenage girl, like just she is like I feel like she's having a lot of experiences for the first time. Part of it feels like it's sexual, part of it feels like it's like learning how to use her voice, part of it feels like this is what I look like and I like when people look at me, that sort of energy. Just like really just about expressing everything that's inside, outside to the world. And I feel like she likes to take people under her wing to like help them shine or help them like be a better version of who they are. I feel like she likes to give people makeovers. So something about giving someone a makeover, like one day this
Mm.
person was one way and now they're another way. I don't know if this is about Amy or this is about something you're doing or a gift that you have or maybe both.
I do love a good makeover. Well, it's very interesting because it's a long, complicated story. I would tell you more later. But for the moment, when I was growing up, I my where I went to high school and like grade school, here in Pittsburgh, my we moved here when I was in third grade, and um from third grade up until like high school, my best friend's name was Amy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And like I said, long story for another day, but some of the qualities of what this Amy has to say is definitely in alignment with that Amy. Like she was very goofy and she definitely was her authentic self, at least around me and like my friends. And I feel like everybody. Um, and she was not shy at all. Um, and loved to laugh and, um, yeah, so it's interesting. It's definitely it resonates for sure. It's curious because I know like I can feel what you're saying is like both her and then both also this other entity of the plant, you know,
Hmm.
itself speaking. And yeah, I mean, I feel like I mean, you know me, I love beauty and I love fashion and all of that. And so I don't know, I feel like it's like almost like an inside makeover that maybe
Yeah.
is coming, or happening, or I don't know. Um,
I feel like what's happening here is I feel like the plant is saying like I can help you with this. Like everything you asked for in that opening bit, the
mhm.
plant's saying I can help you with that. And that's really wild that you pulled it out today and you have it sitting out. Like it's almost like the answer is like literally
Yeah.
right in front of you. And it's saying like it's bringing up this like Amy you were friendly with. So it's saying like, hey, I'm already in your life. I'm already here. Like
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, well, there's so many angles with this, but so one, I guess I will also make a nice microdose for myself and maybe figure out how I can do it, a full session. But something I think is curious is that at work, there's also an Amy that I work with, and she's an older woman and she's lovely. She's very sweet, and I don't get to talk to her very often, but like the few times I've talked to her, she's always been like really impressed by what we and I do. And one day we had like I was waiting on something and we were both standing there and I was telling her about like how I use food and the chakras, and she just looked at me and she was like, "Wow, you were just one of the most interesting people I've ever met." I was like,
Oh.
"Okay." I was like, "Thank you." I was like, "That's very sweet." Um, but it's interesting too because her energy. kind of reminds me of the other Amy that I know, even though she's much older, but I don't know, I don't know, she just has a very similar energy.
That's interesting.
And the Amy that I work with, like she's very, I don't know if it's, I don't, I don't think it's just because she's older, but she's very motherly. Like she just has that really sweet motherly energy, kind of like the plant.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, or let's ask Amy a question real quick. Because so I can do the microdosing. I need to get myself a little bottle. But I planned on doing the full dose with you before I left. I don't know if that's going to happen. I really hope so. We'll try to manifest. But is that something Amy wants me to do, or should I go back to Peru and do it? Or it doesn't matter at all? Should I can just microdose while I'm here?
What she's showing me is I see a square, and it's almost as if the square is like vibrating. It's like popping in and out. It reminds me of this like a square block that you would put in a kid's toy, like when they have to put all the shapes in something. And it's starting to like go into the shape. A lot of like child energy in this journey today. Like a little girl is putting it
Mm,
in there, but it keeps popping out, even though it's the right shape and the right hole, the right, and as it pops out, it's like the square is like vibrating and it's getting slightly bigger. And there's a whole bunch of squares that are slightly bigger, one in another, vibrating outward, but it's like vibrating and glowing and pulsating. And it's like a sort of energetic, um, like sacred energy of the square just like pulsating and getting bigger and bigger. And it started out the size of a square block and it's going to like the size of a table, the size of a room, the size of a house, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Um, and it's spreading out from there. So I feel like what I'm interpreting as this as is several things that she's making me feel. One, there's something about the energy of a square within a square within a square. I don't know
hmm
what that means. Like obviously I know what squares symbolize, like, the stability, foundation, growth, like, yeah, like all of those things. But this feels like something about the sacred energy of a square. And it's something like taking something small and building it and growing and growing and growing. So if I'm to interpret this, even though she's not saying this, it almost feels like she's asking you to microdose because that's doing one
mm
thing and that's building the energy of the plant up in your system until it builds into
hmm
something greater. But she's not saying that. She's showing me the energy of the
hmm
pulsating square. And it's
hmm
white with a little bit of yellow in the undercurrent, and then it's almost got some gray and black kind of making it pop behind it. It reminds me of this book that I have that's from the 70s that I found at like a flea market, and it's called like Inner Consciousness or something, and it's all of these like different drawings of sacred shapes on a page, but the way they draw them is if you sit there and stare at it for long enough, like the paper starts moving. It's wild. Like it's almost like those
mm
magic eye type of things. And that's kind
Yeah.
of like what she's showing me, something like that. Um,
hmm
so I feel like there's something about the building up of energy.
hmm
Um,
That makes sense.
but it also feels like I feel like she's saying something about sitting outside, like near the ivy and near a tree and near a like even though you're not doing it the way you would do ayahuasca, where it becomes a huge ceremony and it takes like this amount of time and you have this like amazing long trip, they're still doing it with like a sacred intent every time you do it. Like
mm
if the space
hmm
is big or small, it's a real just sacred space.
hmm
So this isn't you like opening your fridge and like dropping it under your tongue and going out the door, like putting it under your tongue in a spot in nature with plants. Something about
Mm,
plants that grow like they both ayahuasca and ivy grow on vines, right? So I don't know
mm-hmm,
if there's a spot where there's plants that have vines, or even ivy
mm,
specifically. I'm also
mm-hmm,
curious about what does ivy represent as a plant itself. I don't know.
mm,
I don't know that. I have no idea. What's
yeah.
interesting too is a house I grew up in that we were seeing earlier on one side of the driveway, it's all ivy. Like there
Wow.
was so much ivy. Um,
Mm, mm-hmm.
and it's really weird. As soon as I say that, like it's as if like I was like watching like a TV and the TV got turned off and rolled away. I am so fully and so suddenly 100% back in my body right now. It's like, Amy turned the TV off and rolled it away.
He was like, I'm done.
Yeah, I feel like she gave you what you needed.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
got the hell out of here.
She doesn't waste any time.
No.
I
In a
feel
way,
like
that's
that's also a
better.
message.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. That was Amy's last and most
Don't,
important
don't,
message.
don't waste any time. Well, it's sitting on my desk, so
Right in front of your face.
wow. It's gonna be what I'm doing for the rest of the afternoon is making microdoses.
What a wonderful afternoon.
I know. Gotta
Now
make a trip to
you're
Whole Foods quick though.
that aligns,
Needs to
that
get a glass
tracks with the
bottle.
whole microdosing experience, you know. Of course, someone
Wow.
who makes microdoses on a Thursday afternoon goes to Whole Foods. Duh.
Well, they have really cute little glass bottles. They're blue and I love them. And
I know the bottles you're talking about, yes.
but Dana, hold on. So I feel like that was a lot of information, but I also, as always, feel like that was for you. But did did I give you a microdose? I feel like I did.
You gave me a microdose, yes, and
Okay.
it is still in my fridge. I took like one
Okay.
drop. I can microdose with you. Oh my goodness.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I love this. I love this.
Make sure it's still good. If not, I'll send you more. But
Yeah.
um yeah. Okay. Well, here we are. Um yeah, I'm not getting anything else. I just have this pressure in my head. Um
I feel like there's energy coming out.
uh so I'm gonna ask you to close, but before I was like, okay, I think we should close. And then right before, um, I saw this little fairy, like Tinkerbell, come with a wand, and she like
Oh.
made little energy spirals, and then she flew away. So
Oh.
very cute.
Very cute.
Um,
I feel like I want to like do a whole bunch of stuff with fairies now. Like I feel like empowered to love them.
I
You
know,
know?
I know. Well, you have
Yeah.
a lot of fairy energy. You definitely
hmm
are connected to them for sure.
So I hear that over and over. And yeah, I feel like there's still some shame in me about that maybe has been released now that I can begin to
Mm,
release. Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's interesting because I've been going up into the park every day and I always feel fairy energy there, but yet I don't connect with them the way that I'd like to. And now I'm going to start.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Well,
Wanna
thank
close?
you. Yeah, thank you, Tinkerbell, and all the fairy energy. Thank you, Amy. Thank you to the energy of the ayahuasca plant, to all of the spirit and spiritual energy that came through today for us. The messages connected to joy and balance and authentically being ourselves, to um, the really lovely spiritual messages, but also the really concrete, like microdose advice and balance, and to just as authentically as possible be ourselves. Thank you for the energy that came us connected to our childhood. Thank you for um showing us these houses, and just ways to move forward and release and connect and continue to not only transform the energies that we're experiencing, but to find ways to be more authentically ourselves and to allow our voice to be both heard and seen and felt, and just to let what we need to do out and in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that, the sacred circle is closed.
Thank you.